אנו מכריזים בזאת
Naomi, I want to come on to a hot potato in Israel right now. I'll explain it this way. In the distant past, when Palestine was a vacant, barren place, there were pockets of Jews in Sfat, in Jerusalem, where they were the majority, but there were also a lot of Bedouin who would wander across the landscape wherever their goats and sheep would take them, and then put down their tents on grazing land. This went on to a large degree also across the Negev in the south of Israel. And we've ended up with a situation where there have been literally thousands of Bedouin casting their tents on land not belonging to them. And anybody who's driving on the south road down towards Eilat or even Beersheba can see these tents and everything across the landscape on the left and right hand side. The Israeli government, I feel, in the past have done very little to bring any sort of law and order to this. I think they were probably sensitive about maybe cultural problems with not bringing the Bedouin into a modern lifestyle, but this has become a hot issue right now. I want you to explain to us from the Regavim point of view what's happening with the Bedouin and the situation, almost the lawlessness we've got in that area of Israel right now with the Bedouin.
Well, I thank you for bringing this into the conversation. The Negev is a core issue that Regavim deals with and has dealt with for nearly 16 years. It was actually a foundational issue. One of the founders of Regavim, who is now our Director General, Mayor Deutsch, was an officer in the IDF who was stationed down in the Negev. And what he saw day after day made him realize that the land resource was the basic issue that had to be addressed. Over years of study of the problems of the Negev, the challenges, trying to find solutions for the conflicting claims, trying to figure out the best possible way forward for the land resources of the Negev, we became experts, really, in the issues involved. And really, the only place that we have left to grow, to develop, to create new communities, and to really respond to the future needs of the state of Israel is down in the Negev. So even though the Bedouin have no actual legal claim to this land, they continue to claim ownership under Bedouin traditional law. So as I said, there's a clash here between the systems of East and West, between our modern concepts of land ownership and Bedouin concepts of land rights. So the state of Israel has not managed to resolve these issues, and that's why you'll see things in the news, as we're seeing yesterday and today, for example, where the Jewish National Fund is planting trees on state land in the Negev, and there are members of Knesset and Bedouin municipal leaders, mayors, Israeli citizens down there protesting and claiming that the state of Israel is stealing their land. Well, the courts and any modern system of law has never recognized this as anything but state land. So we have a very specific plan for how to resolve these claims and how to resolve the clash between East and West. I encourage anyone who's interested in learning more to go onto Regavim's website and look at our Negev Challenge. It's a comprehensive plan that describes how we arrived at this point and how we can move forward without denying the rights and without discriminating, and in order to create a peaceful way forward for the state of Israel to develop and to use its land resources in the Negev wisely.
Coming on to Regavim, what steps are you taking, what actions are you taking in order to inform foreign governments, particularly European governments or the foreign media, about the truth and the justification instead of the lies and the fabrications that we're getting, so that at least these people can take a more even-handed approach, if not exactly a pro-Israel approach, to the various issues that we've raised in this program.
Well, that is why I have a job. It's what I do at Regavim. We try to get our message. And again, we are not only a law-based organization, we are fact-based, because only facts stand up in law, in a court of law. So we collect data and we make that data available. We have publications. I translate all of our publications, and they're available in English, and some of them now in French as well. But the important thing is that sometimes on specific cases or specific issues, we go straight to the international bodies that are involved. So, for example, about 2 years ago, before the corona pandemic appeared in all of our lives, I traveled along with our Director General and our Director of Operations to the European Parliament in Brussels, and we met with as many MEPs as were willing to meet with us to present the facts as we see them regarding the European Union's involvement in illegal activity in Area C, their support for the Palestinian Authority's de facto unilateral creation of the State of Palestine, which completely violates the international law and the Oslo Accords. And we presented the members of the European Parliament with data and with the historical background. And some of them, I believe, were genuinely surprised to find out that the millions and tens of millions that are coming across to the Palestinian Authority as humanitarian aid every year are actually being used to completely redraw the map of Judea and Samaria, and are making conflict inevitable, and are making a negotiated resolution of the conflict less and less likely. So what's coming across as humanitarian aid for schools, for example, for indigenous communities, for creation of water sources, or for nutritional programs, or all these things, are actually being used by the Palestinian Authority to create facts on the ground in strategic areas, to take over land and to establish Palestinian Authority control in areas that are now under Israeli jurisdiction. Israelis no longer believe that the European Union is an honest broker. It is clear that the European Union publicly and actively supports the unilateral creation of a Palestinian state in Judea and Samaria without any negotiation. It repeats over and over the mantra that it supports a two-state solution, a negotiated resolution that will result in two states, but on the other hand, does everything that it can to support the Palestinians' activities that are moving in the exact opposite direction, that are leading to inevitable conflict, that are making even the notion of a negotiation completely devoid of any meaning or any content, because they are simply creating a new map unilaterally. So we've gone to the European Parliament. 2 weeks ago, I sent a letter to the Swiss government and its official foreign ministry aid program about the funding for an illegal school in Area C, in an area under full Israeli jurisdiction, in Gush Etzion. It's an Arab village called Kisan, which is officially Area B. And the Swiss government built a new school in Area C without any permits, in an area outside of the village, on land that belongs to the state of Israel, a massive school building. And we sent a letter and we said that, this is illegal. It's a breach of international law, and it is a confrontation with Israeli sovereignty, and it undermines the entire peace process, and is allowing unilateral steps by the Palestinian Authority. And the response that we received from the Swiss government was actually quite shocking. The response was, the Swiss government said, we believe that the Israeli regime of construction and building permits in Area C is discriminatory, and therefore, essentially, we'll do whatever we want, and international law is what we say it is, and Israeli jurisdiction in this area is of no concern to us. And this village needed a new school, and we decided that that's what we were going to do. Now, this sort of response should set the Israeli government on its ear. The Swiss government claims that it is an ally, and that it is a democracy, and that it respects international law, and that it is neutral. And it is none of those things. So we are taking this response further, and we will be filing charges against the Ministry of Defense and the civil administration for failing to enforce the law and allowing this illegal school to be built in Area C. And we will also be naming the Swiss government as defendants in this case for carrying out illegal activity in areas under Israeli jurisdiction. We hope that this will serve as a test case and an exemplar for exactly what it is that European governments and the European Union itself are doing all through Area C. And we hope that it will force the Israeli government to actually contend with this in a serious manner and to stand up for Israel's national interest in a meaningful way.
Well, on this point then, do you find that your access to European parliaments are being blocked? And by that, I have something behind the question. Is it being blocked by quite a number of European governments, or you might say left-wing governments, and the left-wing agitators or advocates will not allow you to have access in order to give the facts and the evidence to the European countries' parliaments? Not talking about the EU, I'm talking about the individual governments now. Mm-hmm. Have you had
that? They are completely disinterested in what we have to say. I'll give you another example. Recently, a foreign diplomat, I'm talking about the ambassador of Sweden, went to express solidarity with the people of Arab Susia. Arab Susia is an illegal outpost. It has an illegal school built by and protected by the European Union and a host of the European governments. It is 100% illegal, and there are demolition orders that were issued by the military and the Supreme Court of Israel against structures in this illegal outpost. And the ambassador of Sweden had no problem going to Arab Susia to express his solidarity and to call upon the Israeli government not to demolish these illegal structures. By what right? In a normal country, in a normal government, the ambassador who did this would be called in by the foreign minister and would be spoken to in no uncertain terms, that this is a violation of the law, a violation of Israeli sovereignty, and a violation of international law and treaty, and is not acceptable. But the state of Israel, because of the massive international pressure, has done nothing of the kind. And it comes down to us to either force or shame the Israeli government to behave like a government.
Is it difficult? Is it impossible?
Yes, we have a tremendous problem getting our information out. The extreme anti-Israel organizations have portrayed Regavim as racist, as far-right, as extremist, as fanatic, as violent, all sorts of things which are completely, just have absolutely nothing to do with who we are, what we do, or what we're trying to accomplish. So anyone who can read our materials and finds them worthy of sharing, discussing, we're happy to see it. It's very, very difficult for us to get our materials across.
I want to tell you, you can wear that badge with pride of the fact that they were stopping you from addressing a university in London because you're in good company. The Israeli ambassador, Tzipi Hotovely, was threatened when she went to the London School of Economics to address the Jewish and pro-Israel student body there. She managed to get away with it, but she had to be escorted out of the college with a police escort. And what this simply tells you, in my opinion, is you know that you're actually delivering facts and truth. And this scares the living daylights out of the people who are basing an emotional narrative built on lies and corrupted facts and information. So how do people get hold of Regavim? How do people get hold of the material that you have, the evidence that you have? Give us how you can be reached and how people can help Regavim continue the good work that you're doing.
Thank you for allowing me to do that. I would say the first and foremost, the easiest way, the place where all of our platforms come together is our website. It's very, very easy to find, Regavim, REGAVIM.org. On our website, at the bottom of the home page, there's a place to click to sign up for our newsletter. And you can also directly contact us directly from the website. Anything from our English website comes directly to me, and I will be happy to respond immediately. I'm also very easy to find on email. It's a very simple email address, Naomi@Regavim. Or you can follow us on Facebook. We're also active on Twitter and on Instagram, but those are simply just to send out shorter materials. The more in-depth, all of our reports, our studies, our entire legal library, all of it is available through our website. We encourage people to read and share our materials, to ask any questions, make any suggestions for how we can better get our material out there and get it understood. And I would also encourage people anyone who can or is interested in doing so, to donate. On our website, there's also a donations button that enables us to take cases to court. Each Supreme Court case that we prosecute costs us in the area of 35,000 shekel, something like $10,000. We are a completely donations-based organization. We have no government support, and support our activity and our research.
One final question, Naomi. Once we get on the other end of COVID, do Regavim have any events for groups who are visiting Israel, or field tours, or lectures, or visits that on your agenda going forward?
Well, we haven't scheduled anything right now for obvious reasons. We don't know when people will be available to come or when they'll be able to come. But I go out, the entire staff is happy at all times to host interested individuals, groups, journalists, diplomats, academics out in the field to show them what we see, to see it through our eyes, to explain the situation. I also try to come to give lectures either to groups, to communities, in homes, anywhere where people will host us and give us a fair hearing so that we can present what it is that we're seeing and explain what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Well, there you are, viewers. If you want to get involved, you want to help Israel here, get in contact with Naomi Khan, regavim.org. I want to thank you, Naomi. Thank you very much for being on the show here. I hope we've done something that can help you and your organization, because by doing that, we get the truth and the evidence to people about what's really going on in Israel here. Thank you, Naomi.
Thank you. Thanks for hosting me.
My pleasure. And viewers, if you're watching this video, if you found it interesting, don't keep it to yourself. Please share, click the like button, click also subscribe, and you will be receiving future video interviews from The View from Israel. This is Barry Shaw saying thank you very much for your support.
אנו מכריזים בזאת